series of severe storms accompanied by heavy rains have hit the Mexican state of Chihuahua, causing massive flooding that has destroyed homes, paralyzed infrastructure, and forced thousands of residents to evacuate. Local authorities have declared a state of emergency following the overflowing of several major rivers and widespread damage in several regions. According to a report by the National Meteorological Service, SMN, the storms were triggered by a low-pressure system that brought high humidity from the Gulf of Mexico, triggering heavy rains for more than 12 hours without a break. The rains were caused by a low-pressure trough combined with the impact of Tropical Storm Flossie. Its arrival has come as a relief to the agricultural and livestock sectors, as the increase in the storage levels of the state's main dams has begun to be seen. However, the excess water has wreaked havoc in several neighborhoods in the north of Chihuahua City, where flooded streets, damaged homes, and overflowing rivers have been reported. The Los Minerals area was partially cut off, while the Municipal Cemetery 3, located in the El Porvenir neighborhood, was completely flooded and declared a disaster area by local authorities. Strong winds of more than 80 kilometers per hour, 50 miles per hour, also worsened the situation, causing trees to fall and roofs to fly off houses in several areas. Chihuahua City, the state capital, along with major cities such as Delicias, Cuauhtémoc, and Peril, were the worst-hit areas. The Chubascar and San Pedro rivers reportedly overflowed, submerging homes, vehicles, and public facilities. The Chihuahua State Civil Protection Agency reported that more than 3,200 people had been evacuated from the flood zone. Residents living in low-lying areas and riverbanks were forced to leave their homes quickly, most taking only the most essential items. The flooding affected key areas such as the Los Nogales Canal, Prieto Luján and Arco streets, and the Villas del Rey, El Porvenir, and La Venas neighborhoods. In El Porvenir, the water reached such a height that some residents had to climb onto their roofs for safety. One of the areas that suffered serious damage was Municipal Cemetery Number 3, where graves were destroyed by the strong currents of the river that flowed through the cemetery. Vehicles were stranded in several places. A driver was rescued by workers from a factory truck after being trapped in the strong currents on Guillermo Prieto Luján Street. In another neighborhood, water swept away pickup trucks and caused several collisions between vehicles. Given the magnitude of the impact, the Ministry of National Defense, SEDENA, activated Plan DN3E to support relief, evacuation, and rescue efforts for the affected communities. Brigades worked to clear roads, clear debris, and restore basic services in the areas hardest hit by the storm. In addition, emergency services launched an operation on the Sacramento River, where a man was reportedly swept away by the rising waters. However, initial operations managed to save him alive as he struggled to cling to a bridge structure. Firefighters, civil protection, and municipal police responded to the area to assist those affected, assist stranded drivers, and remove vehicles stuck in rivers, as was the case in the neighborhood where half a dozen vehicles were swept away in a canal. In addition, damage was reported on busy streets such as Tecnologico Avenue, hail and power outages in the south of the city, as well as various minor damages. So far, there have been no reports of casualties. A total of 25 temporary evacuation centers have been opened in various areas, with logistical support from the state government and the Mexican Red Cross. Hundreds of volunteers are helping distribute food, clean water, blankets, and medical supplies to flood victims. Chihuahua Governor Maria Eugenia Campos said in an emergency press conference, We are facing a major disaster that has not happened in recent years. All emergency teams have been mobilized, and we are working non-stop to ensure the safety of citizens. The flooding has caused extensive damage to infrastructure. At least 17 bridges have been damaged, dozens of roads have been cut off, and more than 40,000 homes have lost power. Access to rural areas has been severely restricted due to roads blocked by mud and debris. Public transportation has been completely paralyzed in several major cities. Schools, offices, and shopping centers have also been temporarily closed. Local authorities have urged people to stay home except in emergencies. The mountainous region around the Sierra Tarahumara is now on high alert due to the potential for landslides. Reports from local geology teams indicate that some slopes have developed serious cracks due to being saturated with water, indicating a high risk of landslides if the rains continue. The National Meteorological Service predicts that the extreme weather will continue for the next 48 to 72 hours, with possible aftershocks. A weather warning has been issued for the entire northern region of Mexico. Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador expressed his condolences to all those affected and promised full assistance from the national government. We will send additional troops, logistical assistance, and emergency funds as soon as possible. The country will not leave its people to face this alone, he said in an official statement from the National Palace. Humanitarian organizations, NGOs, and community groups have also begun raising funds for the flood victims. The storms and floods in Chihuahua are a stark reminder of the impacts of climate change and the weakness of infrastructure in the face of large-scale natural disasters. The government and the public are now faced with major challenges: a long recovery process, and the need for a more robust early warning and emergency response system in the future. The State Civil Protection Coordination, CEPC, issued a precautionary warning, stressing the risk of electric shocks, strong winds, and possible hail. The most vulnerable areas include the Nogales Canal, Avenida de las Industrias, the Sacramento River, and the rivers adjacent to Prieto Luján and Sosa Vera. The event is part of northern Mexico's rainy season, which typically occurs from July to September in Chihuahua. The National Weather Service has warned of a low-pressure channel to the northeast, bringing heavy to very heavy rain. Authorities warn that these conditions could continue in the coming hours and could even bring hail or new thunderstorms.